In a small, forgotten village where dusty roads replaced dreams, lived a boy named Ian. His house was not really a house, just two broken rooms made of mud, cracked walls, and a roof that leaked whenever it rained. At night, cold air entered freely, and hunger slept beside him like an unwanted guest. Ian's father was a daily wage laborer. Some days he found work, most days he didn't. His mother stitched clothes for others, her fingers often bleeding, but her face always calm. There were nights when the family slept without dinner, and mornings when breakfast was just water. But the hardest part wasn't hunger. It was hope slowly dying. At school, Ian sat on the last bench not because he wanted to, but because his clothes were torn and his shoes had holes. Other children laughed. "Poor boy. Why do you even come to school? You'll never become anything." Teachers ignored him. Friends avoided him. Society had already decided his future failure. One day, during a school event, every child brought money for a trip. Ian stood silent. He had nothing. The teacher said loudly, "If you can't afford it, don't come." That night, Ian cried quietly so his parents wouldn't hear, but something changed inside him. Not anger, not hatred, but a decision. Ian looked at his reflection in a broken mirror and whispered, "I may be poor today, but I will not die poor." He didn't know how, he didn't know when, but he knew one thing: he would not give up. After school, while other kids played, Ian worked. He cleaned shops, carried groceries, washed dishes at a roadside hotel at night. He studied under a streetlight because there was no electricity at home. Sometimes his eyes burned with exhaustion. Sometimes hunger made words blur. But every page he read felt like a brick laid in the foundation of his future. People said, "Why work so hard? You're poor anyway." Ian replied in his heart, "I'm poor in money, not in mindset." Years pass. Ian finished school with top grades but no money for college. He applied for scholarships. Rejected. He applied for jobs. Rejected. He started a small business selling snacks. Failed. Lost money. People laughed again. "See, we told you. Dreams don't feed the poor." That night, Ian sat alone, staring at the ground. For the first time, he thought of quitting. But then he remembered his mother's bleeding fingers, his father's tired eyes, the boy who cried quietly years ago, and he stood up. Ian borrowed an old phone and discovered something new: the internet. He watched videos, read articles, learned skills. While others slept, he learned digital marketing, online work, freelancing. No teacher, no mentor, just hunger and determination. He failed again and again. But one day, a message arrived: "You've received your first payment." It wasn't much, but to Ian, it felt like winning the world. That small earning turned into bigger opportunities. He worked harder, learned faster, saved every rupee. Years later, he paid off his parents' debts, built a proper house, and his siblings to school. Years later, he paid off his parents' debts, built a proper house, and his siblings to school. One day, Ian stood on a stage, invited to speak. He said, "I was born poor, not because I was weak, but because life started me from zero." Poverty is not a life sentence. It's a test. If you quit, it becomes your identity. If you fight, it becomes your story. He was rich now, but not just in money. He was rich in confidence, discipline, and purpose. Default text. If you're poor today, if you're struggling, if the world has already labeled you a failure, listen carefully. Your current situation is not your final destination. From empty pockets to a full life, this is not just Ian's story. This could be your story.